When you look at these model boats designed by the legendary and late Garifuna artist, builder, and seaman Peter Sanchez of the southern tongue of Punta Gorda in the Toledo district of Belize, and his talented son Leonidas Sanchez, they appear simple to do from the naked eye's perspective. But that has become the most interesting thing about art forms, that it is not always what it appears to be. And this kind of work in wood that duplicates an original form into a miniature one tells a lot about the patience and skill of the artist who built it. The building of model boats that resembles the real sailing boats, or boats as the classic ones like the historical Heron H was, has become a typical Belizean art form over the years. It is not one that we would frequently find around Belize, but it is a unique style that those like Peter Sanchez in Belize had mastered since his early years as a seaman in the southern waters of Belize, and then later passed down to his son. The father-son team of exquisite artistic brilliance can be seen in fishing, agriculture, and building, where they have carved out a name for themselves as one of Punta Gorda's most creative people. But the building of the model boats are a special touch that they have used as a signature brand for their mark of Belize's artistic life. Only that we have never seen any art exhibit of such in Belize displaying the boats and the history of the sea that goes almost synonymous with them. Maybe now, with these ones that Brother Leo has resurrected and done by him and his late father, will Belizean students and Belizean art lovers get a chance to see one day in a distinguished exhibit. The history of Belize's romantic life and the people like Peter Sanchez who once traversed them has been written by many Belizean writers who found the stories exotic. However, the historical importance of boats like Heron H and Independence that were once used as intricate part of Belize's transportation system in the south since the 1930s, moving cargo and people from the Central American republics into Belize's coastal regions, is a story of remarkable accomplishments for Belize as a developing nation during that time. But that is not the purpose of this documentary, but a small glimpse of the self-taught artists and common folk like Peter Sanchez, who through the models has introduced many Belizeans to what Belize's sea life down south, up north, and along the expansive keys of Belize's circular coastline is all about. The model boat should be used by the Belize Museum to educate an ignorant generation of Belizeans about the advancement of Belize's boat building industry in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, as one that produced quality boat building like the ones built at Bradley's Dockyard, which was building many boats in Belize for the lucrative export market in Florida and elsewhere, and also underscored the question as to why Belize as a nation had not advanced as one of the best boat building nations in Central America and the Caribbean, and perhaps the world. Looking at the picture from one man's point of view, as Peter Sanchez once stood in the many boat models he designed, built, and later drove at sea in Barranco and along the vast coastal reaches of Belize's southern keys, is a thrilling story of a seaman itself. Where some of us dare trod for fear of the water, those like him and his peers would develop this unique tradition of designing boat models that reflected the glory and the beauty of the Belizean sea, gave us some kind of courage that the sea should not be feared but respected for its mystical touch. We here at Belizean Legends celebrate this important artistic tradition of model boat building in Belize and salute the many of the ancestors like Peter Sanchez who passed on the art form to the nearest of kin like his son Leonidas Sanchez. We would hope soon, God's willing, that the highly driven Brother Leo would educate us more through a national exhibit of the art form in the not too distant future. If we step aside for a moment and ask why has there been such a deep sense of consciousness that has gone into the building of this model boat here called the Black Star Liner, the only answer that would be warranted is that the artist, Leonidas Sanchez of Belize's southern tongue of Punta Gorda in the Toledo district, is a Belizean artist with an African-centered approach to life in general. Being Emancipation Day on August 1st of this year, 2017, when Sanchez completed his masterpiece in wood in commemoration of the crime against humanity that brought his African ancestors to the shores of Belize, it would not have been possible to do if we consider the patience, skill, and perfection that went into this work. But it was as if this artist was fighting against the stolen time and legacy that was not afforded his enslaved ancestors, and passionately pushed his artistic brilliance to the brink of their cry across the Atlantic. He was involved in his own war for freedom, pulling strength from 500 years of memory that is embedded in his Garifuna soul. Leonidas Sanchez, the Belizean artist extraordinaire, is no typical Belizean artist relative to those like the legendary George Gabb and those among the likes of his own father, Peter Sanchez, who taught him his master builder's skill. His genes are the replica of those renowned African scholars of Mali, Timbuktu, Ghana, Egypt, and Moorish Spain. His Black Star Line artistic phenomena in Shipwright are a perfect artistic feature that reminds Belize of what its vision for freedom could have been. Brother Leo is the Sheikh Anta Diop of southern Belize, pulling from a base of multidisciplinary body of work that includes the arts, shipwright, engineering, botany, animal husbandry, architecture, and of course Afrocentric sciences. Belize, though his home, is just a cosmic reality of who he is that cannot be confined. He is a global citizen that creates his art in remembrance of his Garifuna ancestors, who were brilliant shipwrights. And he creates art, as we see here, as a sacrificial symbol in honor of those African liberators of old like Marcus Garvey and Frederick Douglass. Brother Lear's art in celebration of Marcus Garvey's Back to Africa movement takes the liberated mind back across the Atlantic to the ancestral home of Africa in spirit and soul. He constructs 4 layers of the ship that includes a bottom deck that holds cargo, a second layer inscribed with the names of Garvey and Douglass that houses passengers, a third layer he named after the United Negro Improvement Association's, the UNIA, famous Liberty Hall, and a top layer that dazzled the inquisitive mind as to how this artist carved out such miniature lifeboats and intricate navigational systems so neatly within a confined space. The painting of the miniature ship is spectacular and embodies the African colors of liberation: red, black, gold, and green. It is a symbolic mantra that was made into an African liberation anthem, uttered in the words of Garvey himself, who declared, "Red for the blood that flowed like a river, yellow for the gold that they stole, green for the land, Africa, and black for the people it was looted from." Belizean artist Leonidas Sanchez's artistic tribute to the martyrs of Africa came on the commemoration of Emancipation Day in Belize, organized by the United Black Association for Development UBAD Educational Foundation, UEF. He rejoiced in completion of the work since its inception almost a month ago, and prepares to share its beauty and splendor with the Belizean people across the land of Central America's sleeping giant. It's freedom time.
We need to continue to present the special truth to our young people, because they do not want any mincing of words. They want the raw truth, so to speak. I call it the special truth. Right? It's a message for their time, and it has to be told to them.